Yeah, that's right. You might not like this video. First of all, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Paul with Spheric Reptiles. And, you know, it's the end of 2023. It's supposed to be a very good time of the year, and it is. I mean, it truly is. But I just think that, you know, the reason I say you might not like this video, and this isn't clickbait, it's because of what I see in the reptile community. There's been a lot of changes from the mid-1990s to the early 2000s when I kept snakes, or really the 80s to 2000s, the mid-2000s. And I took about, you know, maybe 10 or 15 years off, say, I mean, realistically, when I just looked at when did I not have reptiles. And then when I got back in, it was a totally different climate. So I'm just going to go over some of the differences that I see. And I don't know if there can be something done or if anybody even gives a fuck if there's a difference made. But it seems like there's two different views. There's the side over here that says, I'm bioactive and you do it this way. And then there's the breeders that have rack systems. So, and that's just scratching the surface. I mean, it's obviously a lot more than that. And I'm just brand new to this. I mean, of course I'd like to make some money, but I'm really just trying to get enough to take care of my hobby. But right now we're still able to care for all of our animals. And we have 33, we can care for them. I just finished this morning, 2.5 hours of just going through every cage, just checking on each animal, listening to them, measuring the heat, cleaning them, making sure the humidity's right, everything, the water dishes, everything, making sure that our incubator that we just got from Wheel Banks is set up correctly, the humidity. So there isn't a matter of care. And I actually spent that amount of time so that I could actually hold animals, which I do all the time. First, the number one thing that I see is that right now there is a separatist type of attitude versus in the mid 90s, or I'm gonna just say then, I'm gonna say now versus then. Then there was a closeness. So if you met anybody with a reptile, they could be someone with gauges in their ears, tons of tattoos, and you could be in a shirt and a tie or a blazer and they'd be like, hey, you got a snake? And it was just, that was it. I mean, everybody was so excited to find someone else who had a snake. There was not this, oh my goodness, this is good or this is bad. It was just, oh, you got a retic, you got a Burmese. Hey, what are you doing? Because for one, the internet was very small, which brings up to the next point. Right now, there's so much information out there that anybody can have an opinion. Anybody. And the thing that's so troubling about that is a lot of the people, when you dig down into it, they don't really have enough experience with even having an opinion to have an opinion. So what I mean by that is they don't have an actual background in animal sciences or science, and they're just a lay person that happened to do a little bit of research, and now they think they know it all. And the number one thing that I do realize, because I do have a science degree in biology with a minor in chemistry, and I was in the pharmaceutical industry for a long time, so I'm used to reading abstracts and scientific journals. That's pretty much what I did for over 20 years before I made a career change. There's trolling now versus an uplifting community then. And so to me, that's a big thing. And that's something that we should all think about, because remember, reptiles only hold 3% of the entire pet market, just 3%. So if we look at 3% of Americans and we just say that there's 3.3 million pet owners out there that have reptiles, because that's if we estimate 330 million people living in America. Not everybody has reptiles. I mean, of course, there's a higher percentages for dogs, over 55%. Cats are close to 50%. But, you know, hey, that's what it is. And now, and the other thing is that and this is really crazy to me, is that as with anything, I mean, you can have whiskey snobs, right? And you can have people that just want to drink. They're all just drinking whiskey. I mean, who cares if you can get that bottle of Buffalo Trace, which is a good brand, versus, you know, Jim Beam. I mean, it's still whiskey. It still does the same job. So when you meet up together, what I've seen a lot is that people that are more successful in the industry tend to be more snobbish versus those that are humble. And I just don't know where that came from, but let me tell you this. The original pioneers that I know that I always talk about, Bob Clark, Brian Barczyk, they have always been humble. And it's just weird to me that someone that's so long standing in this industry can have that sense of humility, whereas someone that's new and has some success can all of a sudden be snobbish, which is just crazy to me. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I mean, with so much out there for us, then the people can actually be snobbish like that. It's just crazy. Money drives a lot. Now, I'm in the ball python industry. So the ball python community went through COVID. And of course, that's one of the things people had, this excess cash that we've all talked about. Now they got to pay it back. So the people are just trying to figure out how we're going to feed these collections, care for these collections. You know, that's something that they probably should have wrote a better plan out for, because, I mean, who would think that would last forever, and that we wouldn't have to pay it back? You know, so I don't know how that happened, but it did. Let's see, versus expansion minded then. So people were very, very, very conscious about how much they had, because they knew that at any minute that pet store where they got their rats, because hardly anybody bred then, except for the breeders who were developing things, they had to be able to find these rats. You had to source these rats and these rodents. So for your animals, or whatever you needed for your animals, crickets, mealworms, you had to be able to find it. People didn't really have the amount of information to care for their animals. So, you know, it's just something about, you know, and like I said, you might not like this video. You might feel like, hey, you're talking about me. Well, it's like going to church. Every time you go to church, that preacher, that pastor you need to feel like he's talking about you, because if not, what are you going there for? A good time? It's not even about you. It's about the person you're going to worship. So whether it's Jesus, God, Allah, it's not about you. It's about them. But anyway, that's too much. So, all right. So I already touched on the too much information. So with all the information that's out there, just kind of like the fake news thing that was around, and a lot of it was fake and a lot of it was crazy, but you know, it was sensationalized and it got a lot of views, and so that's what sells. That's what the media lapdog does, right? I mean, I'm on YouTube, so I can't really say anything bad about it, but this is my opinion. This is not news. This should not be news to anybody, versus very little information. So my question to you is, why did this happen, and when did this happen? So at what point did the pendulum shift the other way and people started getting snobbish, money driven, you know, with too much information, putting out their opinions, trolling so much? I mean, so at what point did it come to? I'm going to touch on one thing, and I know it's a very sensitive subject, but like I said, I don't give a shit. This channel is for reptile keepers, and if they want to get into breeding, I want to show them some groundworks for it. So, you know, with that being said, I'm just going to say whatever I feel. You don't have to like it. If you do like it, you know, please hit the like, subscribe button, you know, and do all that stuff for me to help the algorithm. But even if you don't, you're watching this video, and if you're still watching it now, then you're interested in the content. So racks versus bioactive. So why would someone choose one versus the other? Well, the reason why we have these tubs and rack systems, we're going to ultimately move to a rack system, but I didn't see the need to do that yet, because in these tubs versus racks, it's the same shit, right? Because we only have one species that we're keeping in these tubs. So if you have a rack system, the number one reason why breeders and keepers of one or two species keep them in racks is because you can more consistently control the environment. I can more consistently control the humidity levels in all of these cages, the cleanliness levels in all of these cages, the heating for all of these cages. I mean, and it's about the animals. So I can do this more efficiently so that I can spend more time holding my snakes, so I can spend more time and, you know, increasing their overall feng shui, or the way that they feel, or something like that. So that's the main difference versus bioactive. What I notice is that people who have bioactive enclosures, and we do for our bearded dragon, it's 100% fully, he's in brumation right now, but it's fully bioactive. It has a dubia roach colony growing in there, isopods growing in there, springtails growing in there. I mean, it's got probably a couple of crickets in there. I mean, it's got everything in there. But anyway, so when you have more than 1 or 2 species, then yeah, go bioactive, because you probably don't have like 30 bearded dragons, 30 ball pythons, 30 Burmese pythons, 30 chameleons. You probably don't have that. You probably have like 1 or 2 chameleons. We're not talking about breeders. 1 or 2 chameleons, 1 bearded dragon. You might have a green tree python. You might have a ball python. You might have a boa constrictor. So with all of those animals, it will be impossible for you to have a rack system and care for them all adequately. So it only makes sense as to why people keep racks versus bioactive. I mean, come on now, for real? So, you know, and I just wanted to put that out there, guys. And I know that this is around Christmas time, but hoping this is after Christmas now when this video is out. So, you know, I hope that you're having a good holiday season, and I hope you have a good new year. And I hope that maybe you did like this video. Maybe you just found it humorous and it was something different. But I just wanted to put that out there. And if nothing else, guys, please, like I said, like, comment, and subscribe. And enjoy your time with your reptiles, and enjoy your time with your family.